So, you want to make money by creating lookup tables and selling them online. Well, let me show you how. Well, not actually. I will just show you how to create the lookup tables, but making money part, well, that's actually very difficult, though many people are doing that. Anyway, to create lookup tables, there's a couple of things that you have to consider first. I guess the first thing is to, let me just find it here. The first thing to consider is that there is at least, well, I think there's 5 types of post-color modifications that you do to your footage. And let me quickly, you can pause and check this out if you want to, but let me show them quickly in a form of a slideshow. Anyway, so here's our original image. For let's say that this would be vlog. So the first type of modifications that we do to footage are global modifications and stuff that apply to pixels regardless of their location in the frame. The second type of modifications are like local modifications, like masks. For example, here I have added this kind of a vignetting mask to this part, the right part of the frame, to make it darker. And then effects. These are kind of algorithms that affect the pixels depending on what other kind of pixels are surrounding them. And then we have overlays. This is basically just a layer, another footage layer put on top of the original footage. And then we have compositions. So out of these 5 types, the global ones, well, it happens to be that the global ones are the most important ones, but again, global ones are the only ones you can put into a lookup table file. The local, like masks, sharpening, particles, grain effects, and all kind of visual effects, you cannot put into a lookup table file. So there's limitations to that. Anyway, let's go to Premiere. So in Premiere, there's an easy way to create a lookup table file from one individual Lumetri panel. For example, here we have a bunch of effects and stuff I have done to the footage. Just a second, let me show you. So this is the first color correction and kind of effect. And this is another effect that I just flipped the canvas. And then here is like a mask that I gave like focus mask. Let me show you like this. That it makes the other parts of the image a bit darker. And then we have the grade. And in this case, we cannot export the mask one to a lookup table file because it's a local modification, so it cannot be in a lookup table file. The horizontal flip, of course, you cannot have that in a lookup table file. This you can, and this you can. So if we turn these off, this we could put into a lookup table file, though it's in 2 different Lumetri effects, so it's a bit difficult. So let me just show you how to export this Lumetri panel effect into a lookup table file. That's simple. You just go here and you click this, whatever icon this is, and then you choose export a cube file, just like that. And then you have a lookup table done with the Lumetri panel, though it's very limited what you can do with the Lumetri panel. For example, this effect, because we used adjustment layers and blending modes, you cannot export this out of Premiere with the normal ways. And then in Resolve it's much easier. Let's say that this is our node tree, and then to export a lookup table from Resolve, it's just simply right click here and then it just click here to generate a 3D LUT cube file, and that will generate your lookup table file. And another easy way to create lookup tables, you remember this guy? So this was when we matched this guy into this James Bond footage. So if I would like to now export this grading that I have done to this footage, if I would like to export this out as a lookup table file, it's quite easy. I just have to turn all other adjustment layers off, and then in File and Export, I can export a lookup table from Photoshop. And the great thing in Photoshop is that in Photoshop the blending modes are as well. For example, here is the color blending mode. The blending modes are as well exported into a lookup table file. So out of Photoshop you get, I would say that Photoshop is the easiest place to create lookup table files. And then there is one more trick that you can do to create lookup table files, and that is to, let's say, For example, if we would have this stack of effects, like the first one and the last lumetri effect, if we put this on top of this kind of image, this is called a HUD image. If we put it on this image and then we export this out, then we can make this into a lookup table file as well. Though in Premiere you are limited to 10-bit exports only, so you won't get as good quality lookup tables by this method. But anyway, let me show you how this is done. The HUD is created with the software called IWLTBAP LUT generator, and this is a free software that you can find here. This is a website. The link is in the description below. Anyway, where were we? And then with pressing this generate HUD, I will generate this image. Then I will bring it to Premiere, apply the lookup table files here, then export the image out, and then open up the LUT generator and convert to cube file, and then choose, for example, here's an example of the bond grade as an HUD file. And then I just open it up and it will create a lookup table based on this HUD. Rather complicated, but if you really have to create a lookup table from some weird source like your mobile phone image editing software, then you can do it with a HUD image. As long as you understand that it only can hold, that lookup table can only hold global adjustments. Okay, and then when you have a bunch of lookup tables, you can go to gumroad.com and start your own online shop rather easy. Yeah, if you want to do that, you can. Okay,